it came back up, and it came back up bad. It came back up bad, and like just my attitude towards men just shifted. You know, like I was just like, no, I don't like this dude. I don't like this dude. I don't. You know, I was just oh man, I was so guarded. I was so guarded and just so, you know, damaged. And I really would just encourage other women. I wouldn't say hoeing don't heal you, but it don't.
It's called exploring. It's exploring life and just being free for a while and just, you know, testing out different waters, seeing, you know, what fits for you.
Right. And that's okay.
Yo, peace and love, family. It's the Hood Psychologist. I'm back at it again with the legendary
Nia Queen, and this is the What's Good With You podcast. And we are back for our last episode of the season. Oh man, I'm kind of sad, but okay, let me get into it. Today we have a special guest, Long Journey, who is an artist, entrepreneur, vegan enthusiast,
that vegan life,
and a good friend of mine. I met him through Instagram, and I was really inspired by his Fruit for Thought series that he has on his page, and a lot of people were like reposting it, and I was like, oh man, this man is aware right here, like he knows something, you know. A lot of guys I meet, like they just, you know, they're not spiritually into
about to bash the fellas. Here we go, y'all. Get ready.
All right. I ain't gonna get too much into it, but
don't worry, man, I got it.
But I always thought that you were just like so whole within yourself, and I'm happy for you to be here. I'm very happy for you to be here.
I appreciate you having me here, man. I love it.
I know you got a strong soul, bro. You said you vegan?
Yes, sir.
Well, I went vegan for like 2 minutes and was like, nah, I'm gonna turn back around.
yeah. Vegan is
strong soul, bro.
You really have to be disciplined for that.
For sure.
You have to have a special type of discipline, and
willpower for sure. It's
right.
It's how much you want it, man. It's I promise you, it's how much you want it. 'Cause I have my days. I'm just like, forget all of this, man. Forget all of my morals and my integrity with this vegan stuff. Just want to go in and out real quick.
Right? Yeah. But you, how long have you been vegan?
6.5 years.
Oh man! Wow, that's commendable.
Years,
that's commendable.
Hey, so
right
is it like say you got Christians mess up their sin sometimes. Is it the same thing with like vegans? Like you like, yeah, bro, I'm a strong vegan, but you know I just bit a chicken strip. You know what I'm saying? I just had one bite. Is it the same type of deal, or is it's like more?
Some people do that, right? Okay. But for me, it depends on your body. So my body, it'll let me know when it don't like something right away.
Yeah, okay.
And I like along like the 1.5 year mark, I did exactly what you was talking about. Man, tried to, you know what? Let me see how this chicken strip.
Yeah.
And my stomach was like, bruh,
nah, we ain't doing that no more.
It's been over a year now. Come on now. What
exactly.
What are we doing?
Rejected it.
Dang, that's crazy. That's what's up.
Yeah, that's cool. The reason why I wanted you on the show is because I feel like you educated me a lot on spirituality, and you know, I feel like you were the one to be able to point out that like my spirit was broken, and I had no idea. I just thought, you know, I was, you know, just I'm back in Cali, I'm working, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, and he was like, something not right with you, something not right in your spirit. And like at first I was like, what? Man, he tripping, man. He doing too much. Like I was fighting it so much, and then, you know, shortly after, like he told me, I really like looked at my behavior, and I feel like I really was wounded. I was wounded, and I never took that time to heal from my past trauma, and I really do appreciate you. And I always like asked him, like, I wonder why we met, but I feel like you were put into my life to almost like hold a mirror up to me. Because, sometimes you just get so caught up in your life and doing the bare minimum and not doing that healing work. And it takes like somebody who's actually done the work to recognize it within you and be like, you know what? I think something not right. Like, you acting a little, and, I just thought it was normal. I just thought, oh, this is just what we do,
Right.
So I always appreciate him for that. And he will always be a dear friend to me for that. So this episode is going to be about spiritual healing. So a lot of people, I feel like, I don't know if it's true or not, but a lot of people on social media are into these spiritual practices now. With the stones and the sage and the incense and all that.
The crystals.
I'm sorry.
It's feeling trendy.
Right. Sometimes it does feel trendy. But I don't want to criticize what anybody else does for their healing.
But it's facts. I seen a real uptake in it after the passing of the great Nipsey Hussle.
Right.
I started to see a lot more spirituality folks.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think the difference is like, mental health is more so like intellectual. It's about the brain and like, oh, if you repeat this, then you'll be, But spirituality is more about your soul. And sometimes there's things within mental health that, it's not a book on it.
Right.
It's not a, sometimes it takes a little bit for us to dig a little deeper. And even I realized that because I thought, oh, well, I'm going to therapy, like I'm doing fine. But it's just like, no, you got to do a little bit more. You got to search a little bit harder. And I feel like spirituality is like that next step.
Yeah.
If you really want to, come to a place of wholeness. So, and one of my favorite shows, I know you guys said you never heard of this show, but Iyanla Fixed My Life. I love that show.
Yeah, I've heard of it. My mom, she religiously watches that.
But Iyanla is not a doctor. She's not a therapist, but she is a spiritual healer, and I feel like she's able to see these people and recognize where their trauma is, where their pain is, and what they need to do to heal that.
Okay.
And she
finds healing in that for herself as well.
Right, yeah, because she has been through a lot herself. But yeah, it's a show on OWN, and it's actually ending. And I know y'all don't care, but like to me, like that was like, no, I really like that. Like it's a black woman on here, like really using spirituality and just like her motherly, like nurturing spirit to help heal other black people. And I don't even think she's ever really had like people of other races on there. Like, she made it a point to like just have black people on there and fix like generational trauma or family trauma. Like it's just amazing. And that's another reason why I wanted to do this episode, because I've always been inspired by Iyanla. But let's get into the questions that I have for LJ. So spiritual healing or healing work, when did you realize that it was time for you to take that next step?
I started my spiritual journey in 2014. Well, really about December 2013 going into 2014. So I was just entering college, just getting to know people, getting to know myself. I was really isolated. So I spent a lot of time in the library studying and just reading books, but like more so just, in my own head, in my own thoughts. And since I am an artist, I was writing a lot, but I was keeping a lot of it to myself. And so when I did that, I started finding healing just by realizing I was expressing myself just by simply letting out my emotions on the paper and being able to, focus on a task like school. And, sometimes a lot of these things, we use those things kind of like distractions.
Facts.
But it was more so of like a structural type of thing to where it gave me something to do and allowed me to get into a healthy routine at that time. That allowed me to see myself outside of, scrambling around and having all these different things going on, I was sticking to a certain routine, so I was able to look at myself a lot clearer. And so from 2014, I joined this club at Long Beach City College called Sankofa. And
what does that mean?
Why are you asking me that?
I mean,
it's so sad because I should remember, right? But it's just been a while, and a lot of things happened with the club, you know. And
what was the
Sankofa is an African bird.
It's a bird.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, look at y'all teaching me something.
Yeah, I was in a program called Sankofa in middle school. So they had at the middle school I was at, they had black educators teaching black students.
Exactly, and that's exactly what it was. Just for college, they were coming up with, you know, the black counselors, and the professors would come and teach us about history and give us, you know, insights about how we can, you know, apply for black colleges outside of City College after you get your AA. And that was something that meant a lot. And so I met a lot of powerful people. I met some mentors there, and people that just basically were challenging me in a thought-provoking way that expanded my mind and eventually expanded my spirit.
And so with your spirituality, do you feel like when you started having that spiritual awakening, that's what led you to, you know, be vegan, because you just wanted to like kind of like cleanse your body? Would you say that? Well, I'm just guessing, but
well, yeah, no. So the vegan thing was more so I had like a lot of stress when I was young, just because my parents separated when I was like 7 years old, so I had to deal with that, and they didn't separate peacefully, so they hated each other, so they was going back and forth, and that stress on a kid could make you have so much high blood pressure and other health problems growing up. So
that's facts.
That was like my biggest thing. So I was trying to get as healthy as I could in college because of the knowledge I was gaining just from going to class and learning new things. But also it was more so like, okay, I need to figure out how I can heal myself from all the past trauma I've been dealing with since birth.
Oh man, so you had to do that internally and externally.
Yeah, it's a battle, man, because we think externally is the toughest battle, but internally is the biggest battle.
For real. Yeah.
Who you telling?
That's
Because
true.
when I finally realized like that I was broken, I was just like, dang. But it really hit me one day, because sometimes I think we get caught up in the routine of the everyday. Like I was going to work, coming home, working out, and you know, you get stuck in this routine. But it's like your relationships with other people are a reflection of your relationship with yourself. And so that's how I started to notice that there was something wrong. Why am I acting this way? Why am I standoffish? Why am I, you know, just trying to run away from positive things, not letting good things happen, like doubting everything, like, no, that's not it, or no, I don't want to do that, when really, like, just let these things happen naturally. But man, like I really don't I don't like to bash you say I like to bash men. But
I was playing. You be keeping it real.
I'm talking about
the show. You don't
right. I try not to, but a lot of my brokenness had come from a previous relationship where I had put my all into it, and I feel like the mistakes that I made was that I started putting this man before myself. And that's why it was so devastating when, you know, he revealed his true self to me. I'll say that, because I don't want to get... My friends know what I'm talking about.
Right.
My friends know, and my family know too. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Right, but when he revealed his true self, and I found out that he had been lying to me for our entire relationship. I literally... Well, here's the thing. I thought I was fine. I was like, oh, no, that has nothing to do with me. I tried to, like, separate myself from the situation. I never did the healing work, but... That mess came up. That mess came up. So people are like, oh, I don't need to talk about it. Like, no, it's cool. Like, let me suppress it. I definitely suppressed that. I talked about it a little bit, but I was just like, no, it's fine. Like, you know, it's whatever. Like, I'm happy to be single. You know, I just buried it. But it came back up, and it came back up bad. It came back up bad, and like, just my attitude towards men just shifted. You know, like I was just like, no, I don't like this dude. I don't like this dude. I don't. You know, I was just oh man, I was so guarded. I was so guarded and just so, you know, damaged, and I really would just encourage other women. I wouldn't say hoeing don't heal you, but it don't.
It's called exploring. It's exploring life and just being free for a while and just, you know, testing out different waters, seeing, you know, what fits for you.
Right, and that's okay. But if you're coming from a place of brokenness and doing that, it can get dangerous.
Very dangerous.
It can get dangerous and very toxic. And, you know, just don't forget to take that time out for yourself and do some internal work and, you know, really examine what you learned from this relationship. What still bothers you to this day. Because, I was at a point where whenever my ex would try to text me and talk to me, I'd throw my phone across the room. Woo. I was like, it was bad. But enough about me.
Yeah, but I think it's you did a real strong thing by just saying, like, all right, let me go back and revisit this, because obviously it's some stuff that's, you know, still manifesting in my life that I ain't dealt with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the only way I'm going to really get where I need to go is if I actually go back and do the work.
Right.
You feel me? The damage that I've experienced. And us fellas, we don't do that a lot of times. We don't really do that. You know what I'm saying?
We
Existing in this man box, you know, you're taught to just suppress anything that's going to make you look soft. So if you saying, I got to sit myself down and really do some internal work, other men going to look at you like, oh, you being weak. You being, you being vulnerable. Exactly. We don't do that around here. Like, we, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. And also, too, like, when your friends ask you good, you be like, yeah, I'm good, bro. Yeah, I'm good. Like, I'm chilling. I'm straight. I'm straight. But it's just like, why not, you know, tell your friend, if this is the dude that you trust, like, tell him about what's really going on. You not doing good, bro. You're not doing good. But let me get back to the guest.
No, you good. I wanted to say something, but I'm waiting because I know it's a question that's gonna line up to, you know, I'm gonna take all this.
Yeah, back, you get how to do this. But what are some of the spiritual practices that you do, or that have helped you the most on your spiritual journey?
And what is it? Well, like, what is spirituality in you know, regards to it being different than like religion or something like that?
Right. I'll do that. I'll start with that first, and then I'll go into my practices. So for me, I grew up in a religious family, right? And most black people, we had to go to church. You didn't have a choice to believe in the Lord.
Facts.
If you didn't believe in the Lord, you was definitely going to church. You was going to church on Wednesdays.
Right, exactly.
It wasn't no more Sundays. Oh, we going on Wednesdays now. You acting up? All right. So, you know, a lot of the times we would think it's something like the government, right? It governs us, like religion, right? It has a set of rules and laws that you're supposed to abide by and follow in order to maintain, you know, peace and prosperity and a connection with I guess your inner Christ, and which people would know as Jesus Christ. So spirituality is more so, there's no guidelines to your healing. There's no guidelines to your path, because everybody's path is different. Everybody has a different purpose.
So it invites difference into
it invites uniqueness. It doesn't X out uniqueness. You know, bro, religion is like we're all together and it's all oneness. Spirituality lets you know you're uniquely yourself in this oneness. Oh, man. So it's like we're together, but you're still unique in your own spiritual way.
Right.
And everybody here, we know we all have different DNA, different fingerprints for a reason, and that's unique in its own. So
facts.
We all every individual on this planet, we each have something special within us that we can channel if we deep dive into our spiritual realms, but we deep dive into emotional and surface things when it comes to spirituality. But to dive into the true essence of it, you have to lose yourself completely. Like, you got to lose all attachments to humanly things, emotionally things. Just completely let go of everything and just say, all right, I release whatever I'm holding on to, whatever I'm trying to control, I release it. And I'm going to allow life to teach me. I'm going to allow things to come to me and show me the way. And that's really my definition of spirituality. And for my practices, because I'm gonna just be honest, I started in 2014, but I was still dealing with a lot of toxicity because of the people I was around, the relationship I was dealing with. And so it wasn't until 2018 when I actually turned 24, and I was just telling myself, I was like, man, I'm tired of the same old saying. I'm tired of saying I want to change. I'm tired of envisioning this life in my head that I cannot put out, into the world. And so I was just like, you know what? I need to start reading more. I need to meditate. I need to, take more time to myself. And that was the start of it. It's really isolation, right? Because let's just be honest. As humans, we love interactions, and we hate isolation because it's scary, right?
It's facts.
And when you really think about it, the importance of it, it's like when you are forming in your mother's womb, you are alone in a sense of darkness. It's just you in that darkness. Yeah, you can feel her vibrations, but really it's just you in that darkness trying to learn how to grow and maintain that calmness within the womb until it's your time to see the light. And I feel like a lot of people don't want to go through darkness to see the light.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
okay.
A lot of the times with isolation, you are dealing with your darkest self because you always feel like, oh, I need to be out. And you have that FOMO, right? You fearing of missing out on something. Oh, dang, I could have been at a party. I could have been
need somebody to see me.
Right.
And so, thanks. I'm glad you said that because it's leading into what I'm saying. When you are isolated, you start looking at yourself in ways that you may have never seen until you actually took time to try to analyze your behaviors, right? So when you are alone, you will try to call your friend right after. You'll be like telling yourself, well, I'm going to just be by myself today. 3 hours go by. You call somebody that you know you don't want to be talking to. But you call them. Oh, you want to hang out? Then you hang out with them, and then it's like, man, why am I hanging out with you? I should be by myself.
Right.
And that's really because that battle that I was talking about internally is happening. So what happened is you are telling yourself, yeah, this is what I need to do. But that lower self, we have a higher self and a lower self. Your higher self is telling you what you need to do, but your lower self is overpowering that. It's telling you, hey, man, just call the homie up. Let's just hang out. Let's just chill. You ain't got to do all this stuff. You ain't got to work on yourself.
Right.
Because
it's easier to fall into that. It's harder to stay isolated and do the work on yourself. And I think the thing about 2020, it was like a lot of us were forced to be isolated.
That's right.
And a lot of people were struggling with their mental health and stuff because of that isolation. That's hard to deal with. So, if you're into spirituality, like that would be a good thing to, a good time for you to grow because you're isolated. That's a good time to work on yourself.
That's a good point that you made, though, for 2022, because it's just like you say, right? A lot of people had to look in the mirror in 2020 because when you mentioned earlier, like, I tried to be on a routine, I work out and do this. A lot of people did that, right? And then when that was taken from them,
they didn't know what to do.
They didn't know what to do, right? Because all your external distractions are no longer available. You have no access to them. You only have access to yourself. So it's like, what are you going to do in that idle time with yourself? And a lot of people never really take that time to think about, damn, who am I? We get too busy trying to chase who we want to be instead of acknowledging who we truly are already. And I feel like that's where a lot of people are struggling in society is that we too busy trying to portray ourselves as one way instead of acknowledging who we truly are in our spirits. And that's what spirituality shows you. It shows you, forget all that other stuff. Look inside of here. It's going to show you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
And when you do that, your purpose starts to just naturally take over your life for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to start forcing things no more.
Right.
Your purpose is driving you. And that's like the most powerful thing you can do.
That's facts.
You know,
Right.
spiritually.
Yeah, that I feel like for me, 2020 was like one of those years for me. Like I was forced to be by myself. So let me try to look within myself and figure out what's going on with me, what's really happening. And I was going to therapy, but I feel like even this podcast, meeting certain people, they helped me get connected to certain tools that would help with my spirituality and help with, you know, doing internal work. I always mention Keith telling me about the 4 agreements because that book really changed my life. Like it really changed my life.
Book. I read it too.
Yeah, like it really changed my life. And it you said something about like when you do that work and you find your purpose, like it just starts leading you to do all these things. And I feel like that's been happening with me, even with the podcast. It's just like, it's so natural to me. And like a year ago, I wasn't thinking about a podcast. Like I wasn't thinking about, oh yeah, let me have a platform and talk about mental health and emotions and all that. Like I wasn't thinking about that. But you know, when I started to do
let's say that correctly, actually, your higher self was thinking about it, but your lower self was operating more than your higher self. So your lower self was the one telling you, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And when you operated out of that and got out of your lower self and you start seeing yourself in a higher frequency,
right,
that's when you were like, I can do whatever I want to do. That's
right.
Podcast, etc., whatever it is.
Right.
And I think that's also the trick too, is that whatever we want to do, it's already there. It's already up here. We just have to tap into that part of our mind instead of the other parts of our mind that we are influenced by, the externals. And that's really what it is. That's what I mean about that battle inside more than it is outside.
Right.
Because we like to think it's, I would have never thought about, no. If you would have been more focused and just had time to clear your space at an earlier stage, you would have been taken off.
Right.
And that's why, when I speak to our people, right, black people, I tell them like, no, if we would have recognized our greatness a lot earlier, we would have been further along in production as far as how we are successfully thriving in this country. Yeah. But we don't see any value in ourselves. We don't. We had to have something good has to miraculously happen for us to be like, you know what, maybe I can do something. We don't see light at the end of we don't see light in the midst of the darkness. So we don't tell ourselves that if we just keep walking, we might just see that light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
We're just saying, man, it's dark as hell around here.
Right.
Like, why would we even do this? Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, who would put themselves through this?
Right.
And it's like, we have to put ourselves through this because it's a spiritual battle.
Right.
Like,
and it's amazing to me the change that I saw within myself when I stopped focusing on other people and just really like focus on myself. Because, going to, I feel like Hampton has like this culture and we try to follow each other and we try to get the good jobs right after graduation. We try to flex like, oh yeah, I got this 6-figure job. I got this, da, 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 da. And we get caught up in that and what other people are doing. Yeah. And then we get miserable in that. And then we kind of touched on that when my friend Mo was here because we were talking about Hampton. But it's just like, we're focusing so much on the negative and what's on the outside and comparing ourselves to other people, trying to keep up with whoever it is and not doing that internal work on ourselves. And we're not able to, reach our higher selves because we're so focused on. And that's what I had to learn. Like, Nia, stop focusing on what the other girls is doing, how much money they got, whatever. They got a house, don't focus on you. Yeah. When you put all that energy you doing researching and talking about other people and whatever, you put that energy into yourself. Yeah. Like you could accomplish anything.
What you pay attention to grows. Just like plants, right? You gotta water your plants. You gotta talk to your plants. You you gotta feed it good energy, right? You
Right.
gotta let it know that you care about it, that you care about its growth, and you gotta carefully pay attention to if it needs trimming, if it's getting low on water, you know, if you need to spray it, if it needs to be misted. It's like you gotta pay attention to details, right? So when you're talking about yourself, we are the biggest project we're ever going to work on in this entire lifetime is
Right.
ourselves.
Yeah.
No matter what you do externally, your biggest project is you, because that battle is always with you.
That's
Right.
facts.
Because once you got everything right within, it shows on the outside.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
That's facts.
really the thing.
I was kind of talking about it on my Instagram story last night. Like you actually gotta sacrifice something in order to commit to yourself. So what I hear y'all saying is like I have to sacrifice that lower self. I gotta get out of that mind state, that frame of work, and actually commit to being in my higher self and existing in that space so that you can reach
Because
your
the
full
lower
potential.
self is always going to be there, bro. And I'm going to just say this. I really don't like those people that try to ignore the lower self and only speak about the higher self, right? They only tell you to be focused and do this and that, right? And you'll be successful. Like, no, it's a battle every day.
Yeah.
It's not you just do this and do that. You wake up. I'm like practicing the routine, right? Waking up at 5:45. It's a battle every day to wake up at that time.
Yeah.
It's not like I just want to wake up every day. Like some days I do wake up and I'm ready, but not every day. Some
Right.
days I'm like, oh damn, I don't want to get up. And that's the lower self being like, yeah, man, you tired, so just lay down. But my higher self is like, if you was tired, you wouldn't even be up. If you was tired, you would have slept past the alarm.
Exactly.
Because we've all done that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody. If you really tired,
You don't hear that. You don't hear that alarm.
you ain't gonna hear that alarm until
Yeah.
it's 2 hours later. You're like, dang. Oh, dang. It's time to go, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, when we go through those little instances, that shows us right there that it's a battle in our minds, right? More than it is actually like, oh, this is what it is. Like, oh, man, I'm just tired. Like, no, it's just your mind trying to convince you you're tired. Because if you were tired, you wouldn't be moving. If you was tired, you wouldn't be able to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
because I'm like programming myself to be like, if it was 5:45 and you got to get up for a job every morning, you're gonna get up.
Right.
we
Yeah.
gonna
It's for your dream. It's for what you're trying to do. You're trying to set yourself up. So are you not going to be on time? Are you not going to wake up early on yourself? But
Right.
you'll wake up early and make
For
money
somebody else?
For somebody else.
Yeah.
But not for your greater
Do it
good
for
and your
yourself.
legacy. And that's my battle for, like, when we talk about the lower self. So it is that just telling yourself that I'm not going to give in to the lower self. Not that it don't exist. I hear everybody,
it's
a lot
there.
of people talking about ego death. There is no ego death.
It's still gonna be there.
battling every day. That's fact.
That's that's a fact. We all got an ego. I don't care who you are on this planet. You got an ego. So it's going to be there. You got to be able to control it, because the ego is your friend and it can be your enemy if you use it for negative reasons. But if you look at it as a positive, you can learn when you can use your ego for good. But a lot of people get caught up in the negative of ego because they want attention. They want all focus to be on them. And they're trying to be in competition with people.
Competition.
And that's and
Black
if you
people
in
is always in
competition,
competition.
if we in competition with anybody than ourselves, we already losing.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're doing, and that's what I tell people all the time. It's just like some people, they're like, oh, I can't find love, but I got a degree, I got this and that. But what about your spirit?
That was me right there.
You look
That
good
was
on
me.
paper. You could look good on paper, but when we're talking about love, that's a spiritual connection with somebody.
Yeah.
That's beyond all the external things that you have. You have to bring spiritual value. You can't bring just money. You got to bring spiritual value.
Right.
And that's something that a lot of people are lacking. And they don't want to admit that because they're like, oh, I got this and that to compensate. Well, I got a house. I got this and that. You're going to have that house and be by yourself for the rest of
Exactly.
your life, because
you can have all those things and still not be whole and
you
still
value
be sad.
those things more than you value the spiritual aspects of life, which is connecting with somebody, knowing when, like I said, to lower that ego and to allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be transparent with people.
Yeah.
Because that's when you actually allow yourself to connect on a deeper level.
Right.
But a lot of people are too scared to let themselves go. They too scared to release attachments. And I've been there. It's hard, man.
Yeah.
But
this is not for the weak. Like we telling y'all this, but this is like hard. This is like really a process. It's not an overnight thing. It's not, I went on a spiritual thing for a week and now I'm no. This is ongoing. This is ongoing, and this is
right
hard.
Now.
Right, exactly.
I would say for me, like, for a long time, all the way up until like last year, like, I would battle with myself in the sense that like nothing like internal really even matter. Like, you know, I'm just living in reality. Right, what I'm doing right now, I've got to this place because everything that I've done, I put the work in. I didn't have to do no internal work. That stuff doesn't even, you know, God, all this higher belief. Like, I'm just living in reality. I'm just existing. But it wasn't until something significant happened in my life that just made me do a complete 360 and was like, whoa, bro, you've been going the opposite direction the whole time. Like, you're not doing this right. You know what I'm saying? Once I finally had that breakthrough, everything that I was doing, I was making moves, I was progressing in life. But once I got to that point, it just elevated. Like, I just skyrocketed. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah. I wanted both of you guys to talk about just being in nature and how that helps you cope with different things. Because you have mentioned that previously, you know, just being in nature and, you know, feeling the moment, how that helped you. And I know that LJ, he likes to go on hikes and, you know, tell me a little bit. I mean, LJ, I'll let you go first. But just tell me a little bit about that, how you started doing that and what that does for you.
Okay, I got you. And we'll touch back on the 2018 and progress back to 2021, right, through the journey. So 2018 birthday and all that, I'm isolating myself. During this isolation, I spend a lot of time in nature. I go on hikes for the first time by myself, right? People that are, you know, close to me, they're hearing me and they're like, what the hell, you going on a hike by yourself? They're already spewing out all the negative thoughts, trying to make me discouraged to go out there by myself, right? It's almost like I'm trying to take a leap of faith into life by myself. And people are like, are you sure you want to go out there? You don't want to call somebody? And I'm like, no, I'm going to go out there by myself. I'll be all right. And only then did I realize how, like, just minimal my problems were compared to just the problems in the world, right? And just the beauty of life. Because when you go out in nature, it's just you and nature. You could yell, you could talk all the, you know, crap you want about what's wrong in life and why you ain't got this and that. And nature is still gonna just be blossoming. It's still gonna be booming. The trees are still gonna be blowing. You know, you still gonna hear the birds chirping. You like, they might, you know, hear a disturbance from you yelling for a second. They might be like, what the hell is the problem? But then they gonna keep going on about their day because that's how life is. It's like, you can't sit and just mask in all your BS and try to just be mad at the world, because life is constantly moving. Like, you have a chance to keep getting better every day, just like in nature, you know? Like, if nature stopped, we would stop.
That's
If the trees stopped growing, trees, you know, stop receiving that carbon dioxide from us and stop giving us oxygen, then what are we gonna do? You know?
Yeah.
We have to keep moving. It's just like water. Water keeps moving. When water is still is when it becomes intoxicated. And that's why when you have, like, you know, these rivers and people love going to drink water from rivers, it's because it's constantly flowing. It's constantly cleansing itself because it's constantly flowing. When you have water that gets trapped in one spot, it gets contaminated because it's trapped in one spot. It's not allowed to keep flowing. And so that's why I have this term, you know, with my friends, we say we grow with the flow. Because that's really what life is about. It's about growing with that flow and learning to adjust to life. Because we try to make life adjust to us. And some people got to understand that that's not how the universe works with law of attraction. Law of attraction is you aligning yourself with the things that you want. So you have to grow with that flow. You can't just assume that that thing is going to, you know, lower itself to grab you and pull you up to where it's at. No, you have to elevate your spirit, your mind, your body to the levels that you want to be at.
No, that's facts. I know for me, I barely started, you know, tapping into nature and whatnot. Like, It's probably like the summer of last year, or going into the fall last year. And just honestly, like that breakthrough, that one significant event that happened in my life, the first thing that I noticed was, once I had that breakthrough, the rays from the sun felt different. Like I really started, like, I walked outside and I was like, damn, like the light is hitting me in a different, in a way I never felt before in my life. And so, I just started, taking walks in nature. And I would, find myself at the top of the hill, and I would just find myself appreciating the sun. Like just feeling it.
Right, beam on you,
flow inside of me, like feeling it in my body, feet, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Taking my shoes off and really being grounded with what I'm standing on, and really trying to submerge myself in the elements of life. And I just really found that appreciation. So I go out from time to time and just go up there and breathe, and stretch, open my body, let all the rays be exposed to my skin, and just let it flow through me.
Right, and a lot of people with depression, like if you go outside, if you just exercise or be out in nature, it can elevate your mood just by letting the sun hit you. Yep. And I try to tell my kids that I work with, because they're stuck in the house doing virtual school. I said, when's the last time you've been outside? Yep. Do you go outside at all? No, I just stay here, I watch TV. And you need to go outside. You need to, go in the grass, sit and do your homework in the grass. Like, you need that, because your body is going to feel the sun. Your body's going to feel the grass. It's going to elevate you in some way. I don't know exactly what it is.
No, your body is earth, right? We come from earth. We go back into the ground once we disintegrate, right? And to touch on what she's saying is so powerful, is that when you realize that when you go outside and put your feet in the dirt, just like the lady that you love, Ayana, she makes her patients, her clients go into the dirt and put their feet in the dirt. What it does is all our nerves are connected to our feet, right?
Yeah.
That's why they call the feet your souls, because they're like, they connect you to your deeper self. And that's why,
I didn't know that.
Foot health is very important. Yeah. If anybody out there needs, some foot care, y'all need to take care of that ASAP, because your feet are one of the most important parts of your body that you need to keep up to, like, optimum health if you really want to be healthy. And so when you put your feet in the dirt, you're allowing your nerves to reconnect to the minerals in the dirt, in the ground, and to connect to the trees who stand strong in their roots and who stay grounded. And that's why they call it grounding, is because when you put your feet there, you get connected to the surrounding energies around you. Yeah. And just like, I don't know if you ever heard the saying about trees communicating underground through their roots, but that's such a powerful thing, because it's a metaphysical science thing. And so when Black people get back into metaphysical science, that's when we will step outside and we will realize that we eat sun rays, through our melanin. We receive vitamin D, but D3 and other vitamin Ds in the sun, and like vitamin K and things like that. You all get all these things from being outside, right? Yeah. Being in nature, just going for a walk, taking a 5-minute just meditation exercise, right? You can do breathing exercises. There's so many ways to just sit there with yourself and try to practice a way to elevate your mind, your body, or your spirit. But it's all about your intention when you're in nature too. That was another thing I was going to mention. It's like your intentions in nature, because nature responds to you. So if you are acting crazy, you're going to see a lot of crazy shit out there when you're in nature. And so you have to pay respect to the grounds. Like when I go out in nature, I pay respects. I'm always like, thank you for allowing me to be in this space, to be protected. And I pray for guidance. I pray for information, right? I pray for understanding and understanding about myself. And so that's something that I feel like when you go out to nature, you have to be very intentional with your, with your purpose of why you're out there. Don't just say, I'm gonna just go out here just because I heard this on, What's Good With You podcast. They said this supposed to work. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to, before you step out, be like, why am I going out here? What am I trying to get? What is the goal? What is the message that I want to receive when I'm done with this hike? And that's something that I had to learn, right? Because when you don't have any guidance, you're just doing things. So a lot of these things were trial and error for me. So nature was probably the best alternative thing that I did that didn't have so many negative feedbacks and things I had to adjust to.
Right.
Because I realized that's where we come from, right? We come from nature. So when you go back out there, you just get reconnected automatically. And that's like the most powerful thing about the healing journey is when you tie nature in and you see the importance of nature, man, your spirituality will just rise, right? And your frequency will rise, and you will be when I say your senses are heightened, I mean like you will be connected. Yep. You will feel and hear and see everything, and you'll be able to pick up on people's frequencies and their energy before they even recognize what they're going through. And that's something powerful, right?
Yeah.
And that's just something that we have to, through time, understand that it comes from being open and honest with ourselves and allowing ourselves to be free in nature. So.
I wanted to ask about, well, this is my last question, about why do you think so many Black men shy away from the spiritual healing that needs to take place within them? Like, is it because of like things that you went through, like that backlash from your friends and family? Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? What do you think? Why are Black men shying away from this type of healing?
This complex answer is going to get a little deep, so just bear with me.
Okay.
Black men have been under attack since the beginning, right? And when I say that, I mean that in a way of just understanding that spiritually we've been attacked. Our spirits have been attacked not just through slavery, but through embarrassment, through brothership, right? You like, we don't understand. Some of our ancestors watched their brother that they went to war with, that they went through thick and thin with, get castrated, get hung
intentionally,
and you couldn't do anything as a man to help him. And that does something to your spirit. It does something to your mind when you feel defenseless and helpless. And think about it even in a relationship sense, right? We watched Black slaves get married and get raped and etc. right after, and the husbands couldn't do nothing about that. And that damages your spirit. And when people talking about generational curses, right? Well, that's something that's generational, right? And it's spiritual. Like when we think about genetics, we only think about physically, but it's spiritual genetics out here too, right? Yeah. And so things get passed down spiritually, and they're still embedded in us, right? And a lot of people still, they talk about the slave mentality because that was spiritually embedded into us. Yep. And so with Black men, when we did come into the society outside of slavery, we were really just trying our best to get off the ground and provide for our families and to have something, just have ownership. And that's why post-slavery, going into the early 1900s, there were a lot of Black businesses. There were a lot of Black families coming together, and we were prospering. And, due to the riots and all the Tuskegee experiments and going to war, that drew a separation from Black men and their families. And that also allowed Black women to be forced to step up and to take over, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I said this is complex, because it gets deep, right? Because people have to think about that. If you take a Black man out of the household and he's going to fight a war for X amount of time, and you have a Black woman taking care of the kids, the house, the chores, making sure they go to school, that's a lot of work, right? And in a sense, there's almost resentment there too, right? Because it's like, I've been here, been that, and when he comes back, he's like, man, we don't even know what he's been through when he went to war. It's just like, it's such a huge dynamic, and I feel like that's the huge separation with Black men, is that we have been disconnected from everything that we known to love and that we held like valuable. And I'm pretty sure, our ancestors didn't want to go fight World War II, especially at the time when we don't even have our own freedoms, right?
Right, yeah.
They knew
and they were forced to go do these things, and America knew that they didn't care.
Yeah.
And so they separated us. And so when we did come back, it was almost like the black women were like, we don't really need you.
Right.
I already been doing this without you. So, if you, whatever you going through, it's hard for people to empathize with what you're going through when they're struggling themselves.
Right. Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of disconnection with the black man and black woman is just not understanding how we got to where we are, and that it wasn't built on black men disrespecting and degrading black women. It was circumstances that we had to go through and grow through the society.
Right.
Because the black family was one of the strongest things happening in this society through the midst of a lot of changes, right? And so with black men, we really had to grow through this and try not to be as emotional, because we had to learn that life in America is a game. When you're talking about men,
Matrix,
it's a game. This is a white man's game. And as a black man, they're trying to take you out first. They're not trying to take out the Asian first. They're trying to take you out. They want to make sure you get out because you are the biggest threat. So they will do everything they can to have the upper hand and have the edge over you when it comes to the system and how it works. And that's why when you can even see it in 2020, right? We were all locked down, but we got this money and black people started investing in stocks and all these other things that white men been doing for years. And all of a sudden they was like, oh, hell no. We're going to have to put a stop to this. And now you got Joe Biden talking about 80% tax on cryptocurrency and et cetera, right? Because they have no control over that.
Yeah.
And that threatens their hierarchy. That threatens their plans, because we're starting to become more knowledgeable. And like I told you, when it's a game and people are starting to learn how to play your game, they got to change the rules. And that's how America has done this, right? So when the black man is starting to get in a position to take care of his family, to get back on the right track, to understand what's really important, we got another challenge to go in there. And we got to be like, we want to be there. We want to focus. But it's hard to, because you got pressure on you. You don't got this pressure by yourself. You got pressure from maybe your family, right? Or the women you're dealing with. Maybe you already have kids. That's a lot of pressure on yourself. And you are trying your best to figure things out. But that pressure is making you feel like you don't even got time. You need to figure it out right here and right now. Because if you don't, your family gone, everybody gone, you a failure, nobody want to hear from you. So a lot of black men see that, and their biggest fear is to disappoint themselves, but disappoint the people around them. And that discourages them from even spiritually digging deep, right? Because what we're talking about more so is the men that's trying to shy away from trying to connect to themselves. It's because they're so focused on society issues. They're trying they trying their best to put focus on so many other things that are, all the other tasks at hand, that it's like when it comes to family, when it comes to love and all that, they like, man, I barely got money to provide for family, to provide for love,
Yeah.
And that hurts them. And it's just like, certain women have went through that situation where they're like, oh, I make more money than my man, and that kind of bothers him, and et cetera, et cetera. It's just because in just the nature of black men and black women, we provide for black women. That's in our nature. That doesn't take away from black women's hard work. They are hard workers. But the men, since, the beginning of just us knowing how to be civilized, right? And having cultures, ancient Kemet. We made those pyramids, we made all those monuments. We didn't make those for us. We made those for the black women. We were trying to impress and uplift the black women. That was the whole purpose of this. It wasn't to boost our own egos and toot our own horn. I don't care what history telling you, because when you do the real research, just like when people wear these ankhs and all these things, they don't realize that's really a homage to the black woman. And since the beginning, our culture has been revolved around black women. Black women rule the culture still to this day. And that's when you have to understand, as a black man, you can't put pressure on yourself until you understand black women are going to do what they have to do. You can't pay attention to, oh, I'm not being able to provide for her or do this and that. You have to pay attention more so to how do I get myself back into a spiritual place to where I don't take things personal and I'm able to provide for myself, and that'll allow me an opportunity in a way to provide for others. Because we can't help anybody if we don't help ourselves. But we get too caught up in, we got to help this person, and and like I said, a lot of black men, they have kids, they have responsibilities.
Right.
So it's hard for them to try to get back into themselves right now when it's like, I got a mouth to feed, I got 2 kids, I got 2 mouths to feed. And and responsibilities will shy them away. And that's not to say that these things are, acceptable. I'm just explaining to you the nature of the reality, right?
No, I get it. I get it. You had to explain, like, the whole backstory so that we can understand why it's happening still now to this day. And,
and this is why it's leaning into our generation, right? And they're like, oh, these niggas don't care, blah, 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 right? But it's not that. It's just that they were not taught to worry about those family and structure and being the man in the house. That's not the priorities that we were taught. Nah. We were taught to go get money,
right?
Have all these women, drive these cars, and that was it. They didn't tell us, go buy businesses, go make sure you take care of home, make sure you respecting your mom, make sure that you take care of the groceries if you can, and things like that. Black men, we weren't taught that. That was something that, our fathers, our grandfathers were taught, 40, 50 years ago. That was something that was like a standard, right? And that's something I feel like a lot of people are shying away from now with societies, that we are acting handicapped, doing certain things that we should know that our ancestors were doing, and it was just normal to them, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, I kind of cut you off, but they're about to kick us out. But
you ain't got to go home. You got to get out of here.
Man,
no. You really broke a lot of things down, and I feel like just recently I've just been like really harsh on black men because I'm just like, why aren't y'all like healed? You know what I'm saying? Like, why every dude I talk to like broken or not really there? But that put it in perspective for me, so I do appreciate that. I wanted to ask you, where can people follow you and support you at?
You can follow me on Instagram at Lone Wolf LJ, and everything is spelled correctly. Lone Wolf, LONEWOLF LJ. My music is on Spotify, Apple Music, all that. You can search the artist Lone Journey, and I have a project called Light EP on there, Alpha EP. I also have new projects coming out in 2021, including this Wolf self-titled project that I have, and that'll be releasing in the next month or so.
Okay.
And the Fruit for Thought podcast will be coming in the summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, say that.
Yeah.
I gotta be on there.
What? Both of y'all. And yes, and I'm just glad to be able to have people like y'all around, because y'all inspired me. Just like I inspired you to start this, you inspired me to start my actual podcast.
Right.
So, everything is reciprocated, and that's the beautiful thing about this. I actually love this whole podcast. I love the staff, man. Y'all are great. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate you. I really feel like I got like a history lesson and just everything. Like I learned so much. I was really like, okay, I did not know that. So I'm really thankful that you joined us today. You guys can follow us at _what's good with you. We also are on YouTube. Please subscribe to our page. Check out this interview on YouTube. And we are on all streaming platforms for podcast. And oh man, this is the last episode.
Yeah, this the last episode. Hey, but real talk, man. Thanks to all the supporters, all the listeners, all the viewers.
We appreciate y'all so much.
That's real love, because we made this for the people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When you came, you brought this vision to me. It was like, this is for the people. This is for our people. And I was like, man, I'm rocking with that. I love to hear it.
And y'all done an exceptional job. All right.
Thank you.
I'm a day one listener.
Yeah.
And I love what y'all do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you. But, this is just a break. Like, it's not the last episode forever. This is just a little break. Summer coming up. We got a lot of moves that we're trying to make. So we're going to take a little break. But we'll be back for a second season. And we'll have more guests. And just, I want to say thank you to all the guests that were on season 1. A lot of y'all didn't know me at all. And I was just like, hey, like, can you be on the show? And they said yes. So I just want to say thank you to all the guests that were on season 1, and that's it.
Hey, y'all keep the love and the peace. We'll see what's good with y'all next season.